So good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming to our conference on Futures of Critique in a Pluricentric World. My name is Julia Ng. I'm a reader in critical theory and the co-director of the Center for Philosophy and Critical Thought at Goldsmiths, and I'm the organizer of this weekend's event. Before we begin, I want to first thank Royal Holloway's Center for Continental Philosophy and the Department of Politics, International Relations, and Philosophy for generously providing us with the room we're in right now. I also want to thank the British Academy for the support that it is providing through its mid-career fellowship program for my broader research project, of which today's event is the final of 3 public conferences. I'd also like to extend a warm welcome to all of our speakers who have traveled from all across the world to be here this weekend, from Hong Kong, South Africa, Mexico eventually, Lebanon, south of France, and of course, Sheffield. I'm extraordinarily grateful to each one of you for having accepted my invitation to come to London and to contribute such a diverse and probing set of papers to our discussion on what futures might hold for critical thinking today. In a world, if it is a world that thinkers from all ends of the political, cultural, and philosophical spectrum have contended no longer holds at one center, though in which way exactly and for whom no one answer seems to entirely suffice for comprehending, it seems all the more crucial to come together and interrogate the fragmentations, dissonances, movements, and mutations of the basic elements of our ability to think together, concepts, their necessary conditions, from a plurality of centers, but also critically. So I think that you all have noted the diversity of the backgrounds of the speakers: political philosophy and phenomenology, psychoanalysis, political theory, gender studies, history, international relations, cultural studies, and aesthetics. And indeed, one of the objectives of this conference was to bring people together who might otherwise not have had the chance to get together for geographical as well as disciplinary reasons. But I think you'll also find that we hold a number of common assumptions and without wishing to be too prescriptive, I'll try to outline a few of these as a way of providing a starting point for our discussion. First, thinking critically entails recognizing the impermanence of forms of life and thought, bringing about an awareness that there is an objective state of conflict, of which the impermanence of forms is an expression, and situating our standpoints within this conflict. Critique, in other words, brings with it the problem as well as the promise of its situatedness. There is no such thing as a neutral or distanced critique. It's uniquely equipped to produce heightened awareness of social, political, and epistemological crisis, but also therefore incipient moments of transformation. Second, critique situatedness therefore also makes operative a constitutive partiality or blindness in the exploration of history, of the historicality of concepts and other structural components of our thinking. The movement of critical languages between a plurality of centers, beyond the single metropolitan axis of power that has traditionally disciplined critical thought, and the supplantation of this axis with the emergences, conflicts, suppressions, adaptations, and mutations as the loci of conceptual formations, comprise the new terrain in which critical theory happens. From this view, it is possible to revisit critical theory as a productively unstable entity that retains, nevertheless, intelligible markers of its origins in social, political, and epistemological crises. Third, but by no means finally, the movement between languages and disciplines therefore becomes crucial. Translation in the literal linguistic sense, but also more broadly philosophical sense, has been intertwined with the histories of colonialism and extractivism. Accounting for these debts is thus a task that critical theory has yet to take up. Taking up cases of conceptual cross-pollination across worlds and histories is, of course, no small task, but I'm hoping that the next 2 days will provide an opportunity for everyone here to consider how might one do so. Now, I won't say much more now, except just to mention that the project of which this conference is a part, and which the British Academy is generously funding, is entitled Daoism and Capitalism. That's the thing I'm working on. And it took its original inspiration from a conference not unlike this one, which I organized in 2015. There, a conversation ensued between François Julien, Peter Fenves, Sam Winster, Lee Jenko, and others that eventually turned into this project that I am now completing on the critical altercation between ideas coming from semi-colonial China and early critical theory. I mention this because, as some of you will know, this conference was originally supposed to take place on the campus of Goldsmiths, University of London. I decided to move it to here, and thanks to our friends at Royal Holloway, I was able to do so because of the massive restructure that the senior management at Goldsmiths has been undertaking this year. As of last week, 97 colleagues from 11 departments across my college have been served notices that their jobs are unofficially at risk. These include 14 from my own department of English and Creative Writing alone. That's 7 full professors and 7 associate professors. They are also gutting the other department that I work most closely with, sociology, from which a total of 17 colleagues, mainly senior colleagues, have been effectively served their notices. Miraculously, I am not one of these statistics, but this has meant that half the directorate of the Center for Philosophy and Critical Thought, the official co-host of this conference, may be gone by the end of this month. In solidarity with these colleagues, my colleagues, I have moved this conference off campus and dissociated officially from Goldsmiths. And I thank the speakers for their understanding and their willingness to put up with the longer than expected commutes from their hotel today and tomorrow. This whole crisis is also a stark reminder of how fragile these opportunities for intellectual solidarity are, how much generative potential is at risk. And so I hope, without putting too sour a note on the rest of the proceedings, that we can make the most of the opportunity while we have it. Now, just to transition to more logistical things, how this will work, I'm going to introduce each speaker in turn, who will then give a presentation, followed by time for Q&A after each talk. I'd also like to take this opportunity to introduce Dr. Jacob McGuinn, who's sitting in the back over there, who is a corresponding co-director of CPCT, the Center for Philosophy and Critical Thought, and assistant professor at Northeastern University London, who will be chairing this afternoon's sessions. For those of you who are able to make it tomorrow, we will also have a concluding roundtable discussion and a general Q&A.